I'm going to share with you 5 home buying tips that will help you gain some knowledge on what steps you need to take when you're ready. By the way, my name is Brianna and I'm with eXp Realty. I put up videos like this every single week to give you the education that you need about the Phoenix market. So if you would like to get in touch with me to learn about different communities or anything related to real estate, my contact information is below. You can even book a consultation with me. And make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss a video, and so that way you can always have your finger on the pulse of what's happening here in Phoenix. So the first tip is to set a realistic budget. Before you start looking at houses, it's important to determine how much that you can afford. Look at your income and your expenses to determine how much you can spend a month on a mortgage. So you definitely want to take into consideration the amount of rent that you're paying right now, because you probably will be paying that amount, maybe a little bit more. So I don't know what your rent is, but definitely plan on spending a little bit more, but it's your own home. So you want to consider all the costs that are associated with purchasing a home, such as maintenance, insurance, and property taxes. Sometimes property taxes is included in your loan, or not included in your loan, but you pay it with your loan, and they have the escrow account that will pay the property taxes off for you. So that's what I mean. And I say realistic budget because I definitely mean to be realistic when you are building this budget, because if you're someone who likes to travel or likes to do things for fun, don't max your budget out more than what you would like to do, right? So some people can get approved for a lot more than what they want to spend. And I mean, if you can afford the whole amount of what you can qualify for, then fantastic. But if you don't want to spend that much on a home yet, then stick to your monthly budget, right? Have a goal that you want to only pay. And if you only want to pay $1,800, then you may not find a house that you really like and want to purchase for that amount, honestly. But everyone has their own opinion on what house works for them and fits them and their family. So if you want to buy a home, set your budget. And then tip number 2 would be to talk with a mortgage lender and get pre-approved for a mortgage. Getting pre-approved can help you determine how much house you can afford, and it makes your offer look more attractive to sellers. So I definitely wouldn't skip this step. The mortgage lenders are a crucial part of you purchasing a home, because they are the ones that are drafting up your loan, right? So your monthly payments, all the loan questions when it comes to how much you're going to pay, how much is going to principal, how much is taken out for taxes, all those questions are for the loan officer. So they play a big, huge, crucial part in this purchase for you. So you definitely want to talk with someone that you trust. If you don't know a mortgage lender, the realtor that you know are going to know a loan officer. Chances are, if the realtor gives you a recommendation on a lender, they probably have been working with that lender and know that they can do their job very well. So if you don't know a mortgage lender, ask your realtor. It's important when working with a mortgage lender that you have very clear communication with them in terms of what you want to spend each month, because they are going to listen to you. So if you tell them that you only want to spend $2,000 a month on a mortgage, what they're going to do is base your purchase price off of that amount. So it may or may not be your max eligibility, right? So you may have been able to purchase more than that, but because you told them you only want to spend $2,000 a month, that's kind of how that will reflect. So if you're looking at homes and it's not meeting your criteria, that's why that monthly payment is super important, because you want to make sure that you know, did I give myself some room, or did I go all the way to you know, the very last dollar that I could afford, because if you left yourself from some room, maybe we can higher the purchase price a bit to see what homes are out there. So many people will not have an idea of how much they want to spend, because sometimes they don't understand how more expensive it is than it actually is, right? Because you're paying, essentially what I figured out was that rent is a little bit less by maybe a few $100s depending on the home that you want. It's about a little bit less than owning a home. So maybe the average rent is like $2,100. So if you're paying around $2,100, you could probably buy a home and pay around that same price. Or for $2,600, you can have a nicer home. So either way, it's between the 2,000. So stick to your budget. You don't want to be house rich and not be able to have this really nice house, but you can't do anything because your mortgage is too expensive, right? So I'm always an advocate for finding, you know, what you can afford. And as time goes on and your income increases and your family gets bigger, then let's take a look at your finances again, see if you can sell that home and get a bigger home, right? So you always want to move with real estate as a stepping stone. Your first home, then you have your second home, and at some point when you're ready, you'll have your forever home. So that's kind of how real estate works. So I know I just went off on a little tangent, but it's great information. The third tip is to work with a real estate agent. There are many things that we can do as a real estate agent or a realtor, but everyone has their own niche, right? So realtors kind of stick to their own plan and what they're good and what they know. So there's many things that we can do. We can find rentals, we can do vacation homes, we can sell plots at the cemetery, right? So there's a lot of things that we can do, but everyone has their niche. So if you are looking for a home, a new build home, ask your realtor if they can represent you to purchase your new build. I know you may be thinking, why, if there's a realtor in the office representing the builder? And that's exactly why you don't want them to be your realtor, because they are representing the builder, right? So it's kind of common sense. You want to make sure you find somebody that can represent you. I definitely wouldn't go to court thinking that the other person's lawyer is going to help me, because they're not. And that's kind of just the perspective I like to put it is because it's true, right? When you go to court, you want to make sure you have your own public defender or attorney there to represent you, because you're not familiar with that field. You want to make sure that you win your case, not lose it. So that's why I say that in regards to a real estate agent, you want to make sure that you have a realtor that's representing you. And if you are hiring a realtor to represent you as a buyer, we can help find you homes that match your criteria, so you're not sorting through the hundreds and thousands of homes on Zillow. You tell us what you want, we will go through all of the homes ourselves. We'll take you to go see some, and if you like one, then you put in an offer. There's a lot more to that, but in a nutshell, we negotiate with the sellers on your behalf. So if you want something, then we will negotiate to get that for you. An example would be if you want the seller to repair X amount of repairs or replace the roof, we will negotiate why that should be fixed for you. So if you're hiring a realtor to be your selling agent, then they are selling your home and they're representing you to give you the most amount of returns. So if the buyer wants the roof cover, paid for, and my seller's like, why? We're gonna question back and say, why do we need to have the roof paid for? What's wrong with it? What did the inspector say? So we kind of negotiate back and forth with the other agent. So that can sometimes be misinterpreted, because even when I didn't know about the real estate world, or before I purchased my home, I didn't realize that there was 2 agents. And yes, there's 2 agents because you guys both, each end of the party has to have their own representation. or should have their own representation. There are lots of for sale by owners out there, and that's great if you have the confidence to sell your own home, but I definitely recommend considering having an agent so you don't leave any money on the table, and so that way all of your contracts are looked by someone who is licensed to do so. We also take care of all of the paperwork, like the contracts, for you, and send them out for signatures, go over them with you, change parts of the contract if needed. There's really only one contract that we use as realtors, but new builds have their own contracts. If you have a for sale by owner, they have their own contracts. So there's a lot of different contracts out there that you want to make sure that you know that you're signing the right things. The fourth tip is to get a home inspection, okay? Or this may be a little more further than where you are right now, but once you go under contract on a home and your realtor tells you not to do an inspection, you need to run away as fast as possible from that deal. Tell them you want to cancel the contract in your due diligence period if your realtor tells you that, because you need to do an inspection. Lots of liabilities. You don't know what's wrong with that house. If you do an inspection, they will tell you everything from the roof to the structure, what's wrong with the house. They won't go into detail of like what's the plumbing, because they won't go in there. They'll just notice, hey, that looks interesting, your water's not flushing, whatever for the plumbing system or electrical, these switches ain't working. And then you get an electrician out there, you get a plumber out there, someone that is more knowledgeable about that specific service. So you definitely need an inspection. You need an inspection. Even if you're not going to ask the seller to fix anything, it doesn't matter. Get an inspection on your home so you know what is happening with your home. Because if you walk in, you guys close escrow and you walk in, there is nothing you can do if you did not get an inspection. Okay, there is a seller's property disclosure statement that the sellers are responsible for filling out. Has there been times that I've seen sellers not fill it out? Yes. Are they supposed to be 100% honest on that SPUDS? Yes. Okay, but has there been cases that they weren't? Yes. So you definitely want to make sure you get an inspection. Look at all of the areas of the inspection. If there's anything that's super important, your realtor should be saying, hey, this is like a red flag, I recommend for you to get a plumber out here, right? So you have to do all of this in a certain amount of days, depending on what is on your contract. Typically here in Arizona, you can do it for a maximum of 10 days. And I like to make sure we have all 10 days, because if something goes wrong, septic tank is messed up, we need to get somebody out there to look at that before we agree to purchase this home. So, in my experience, I haven't had any horror stories with inspections, but I have heard of horror stories with the inspections. So you definitely want to make sure you don't get taken advantage of with that, okay? Because just don't get an inspection, just even if it's for your own knowledge. This will definitely help you avoid any costly repairs after moving in, or at least give you an idea of what to expect when you move in that you're gonna have to pay. Yeah, okay, I'm done with the inspections. It's important if you can't tell. And the last but the not least tip is to not rush the process, okay? This is the biggest purchase of your lifetime. Maybe you purchase multiple houses, but if you're a first-time homebuyer watching this video, this is probably the biggest purchase of your lifetime, okay? So do not rush this process. Take the time to find the right home that suits you. You also want to make sure that you're comfortable with the terms of the sale, how much you're purchasing the house for, your monthly payment obligations, if you have an HOA, you want to look into all of that, because you want to make sure that this home is going to be a great fit for you and your family. So I hope these tips helped you. So if you are looking for a home here in Phoenix, Arizona, and you do not have a realtor, I am happy to help you. You can click on the link below, or you can follow me on Instagram and send me a message. Let me know that you want to purchase a home. I also have a buyer's or seller's consultation form that you can fill out in the link below, and that'll notify me and let me know, and I can give you a call. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you for watching this video, and have a great day.